Hello everyone, welcome to the course Financial Mathematics for Actuaries. We are learning the loan repayment methods. We have already learned the loan amortization schedule, and in this session we are going to learn the other method, that is called the sinking fund method. Let's do that. Let us learn another method of loan repayment, that is the sinking fund method. So what is a sinking fund? Note that the borrower needs to repay the loan principal along with the interest amount. So, in the sinking fund method, the borrower deposits an amount periodically into an interest bearing account to accumulate the principal at time n. Now, you recall the interest only loan where we have understood that the borrower make a periodic payment of interest only during the term and a final payment of the full principal at the end of the term. So, for such a loan, the borrower would have to make a series of n interest payments, each of an amount, that is L multiplied by I, along with a payment of L at time n. So, the borrower has an obligation to pay a single lump sum at or a single lump sum of L at time n. For this purpose, the borrower wishes to make a periodic deposit into a fund to accumulate the principal. This fund is basically known as the sinking fund, right? So the method of loan payment is basically known as the sinking fund method. So the sinking fund method of loan repayment is mostly useful when the borrower believes that it is very difficult for him to have a or to make a large lump sum amount at the end of the term of loan. So basically what he wants to do is, from the start he wants to put or set aside some funds so that it will accumulate the principal when the term got up. Let us take one example here. Suppose a loan of 5 lakh rupees by a 6 payment annuity immediate at an effective interest rate of 6% per year. Now let us now calculate the sinking fund deposit. So here, as we have understood that the borrower has to make a periodic interest only payment, that is the 6% of 5 lakh rupees every time till 6th payment, and he likes to set aside some fund so that it will accumulate up, at the end of 6th years it should be 5 lakh rupees. So the solution here, the interest payment is therefore 6% of 5 lakh rupees, that is 30,000 rupees. So every time the borrower needs to make a 30,000 rupees for 6 period, and the sinking fund deposit therefore will be the initial loan amount, that is this one, divided by the accumulated value of the deposit or the installment, that is S angle N at I. So here in our problem, 5 lakhs divided by S angle 6 at 0.06, which will be equal to 5 lakh divided by 6.975. You can use your calculator to get this value, and then finally you will get that it will become the sinking fund deposit will become 71,684.58. Okay. Let us now understand it more formally. So for this, consider a loan amount of A angle N at I. This can also be seen as the initial loan amount, that is L, and by the sinking fund method the borrower pays an amount, that is interest rate times this one, that is I times this amount, which will be equal to 1 minus V to the power n, as we have already seen in the amortization schedule. Each period to serve the interest. In addition, he deposit an installment into the sinking fund. Suppose the sinking fund accumulate the interest rate I. So I is the interest rate what the borrower will get if he deposit in the sinking fund. To accumulate A angle N at I, this amount at time N, each sinking fund installment is therefore this the initial loan divided by the accumulated value here. So A angle N at I divided by S angle N at I, which is equal to V to the power N. Okay. Thus, the total amount the borrower has to pay each period is therefore 1 minus Vn, 1 minus V to the power N plus this one. So, it will be equal to 1 in our example here, which is the same as the amount paid in the loan amortization schedule. Now, let us put it in a generic form. So, sinking fund schedule of a loan of A angle N at I by an N payment unit annuity at interest rate I. Okay. So, the generic form of loan sinking fund schedule look like this. So, we have here 1 to n period of time. The installment amount is the unit annuity, and therefore, the installment amount you can think as 1 rupee or $1, whatever you can say. The interest payment, what we have understood just now, are the interest amount or interest at I time the loan amount, that is 1 minus V to the power N, and the sinking fund deposit, therefore this minus 1 sorry, this plus 1, and this will give you the V to the power N. Okay. And the sinking fund balance therefore will be equal to what? This is the loan amount divided by the accumulated value in the first year, that will be equal to same as V to the power N, which is equal to S angle 1. Okay. Same you will go on, okay, till T period of time, then we will have I time A, that is this one. Notice here that this interest payment is fixed for all the period, same as the sinking fund deposit also fixed for all the period, right? On the other hand, in the loan amortization schedule, the interest payment was actually decreasing and the loan reduction will be increasing in the loan amortization schedule. But here in the case, the interest payment is constant. Every time you are making the same interest payment, and the borrower wants to deposit same amount every time till the end of the period to accumulate the total loan balance or the principal. Let us understand this clearly by putting some number in this, and therefore we construct a sinking fund schedule for this problem. For a loan of $5,000 by a 6 payment annuity with 6% interest rate, now construct a sinking fund schedule. For this purpose, we need to calculate for the first row. So, let us now calculate the first row. So, the interest payment will be 5,000 multiplied by the 6% interest rate, that will be amount to be $300, and the sinking fund deposit for is L divided by S angle N at I. So, 5,000 divided by S angle 6 at 6% interest rate, which will be equal to 716.8. So, for the first row we will write here year, and the installment, that is the annuity installment, and we will write the interest payment, and we will write the sinking fund deposit, okay, and we will write the sinking fund interest, and the sinking fund outstanding balances. Okay, so the sinking fund once you understand the first row, we can easily understand the rest of the rows. Okay, so first row will be 1, then we can easily compute it as 1. So installment will become this plus this, so it will become 1016.81. okay, or you can simply say like that this is like calculated to be 716.81. so this plus this will be 1016.81. interest payment, as you have already computed here, is 300. the sinking fund deposit is 716.8 or 81, we can say. Sinking fund interest rate initially will be 0, and the sinking fund balances is same as 0.81, right. For the second period, you can simply have, see, the interest payment will be same, okay, and the sinking fund deposit also will be same, so that installment also will be same. Okay, this plus this will become 1016.81. okay, this is the same installment what you were making in the loan amortization. So now we are just understanding the sinking fund method as compared to the loan amortization method. So we are now seeing that these two will yield the loan installment, okay, the installment amount. So now here the sinking fund interest of the in the 2 year, the sinking fund generate one interest rate to the 6% of this amount, right, 6% of 716.81. so you just multiply, okay, 716.81 multiplied by 0.06, which will give us a value of 43.01. that value we can just write it here, 43.01. okay, and then the sinking fund balance is therefore this one plus this one plus this one, which will become 1476.63. okay, so now you can compute the similarly for rest of the row. We will go on computing in similar procedure. The rest of the row we can have is this, right. okay, so you can see here that in the first year, okay, as we have already computed that the interest payment will be 300, the sinking fund deposit is 716.81. you have already understood how to compute this excuse me, and this plus this will be amounted to be this one. okay, the similarly we have computed the second row also. okay, in the second time also here, notice here that the interest payment is same for all the 6 period. Similarly, the sinking fund deposit also same for all the 6 period. So, the total deposit you have made is 4300.86 and the total interest you have paid is 1800, right? And the sinking fund interest, your deposit in your sinking fund has earned an interest amount of 699.14 dollar, okay, and therefore you can able to deposit your principal amount, that is 5000 rupees. So this is how the sinking fund schedule look like. Now, one important thing you have to notice here is that the rate of interest rate you earned from the sinking fund, that is 6% here, is same as the rate of interest rate for your loan amount. But like sometime these two rates are not exactly same. Most of the time the interest rate you are going to pay is higher than the interest rate you are going to earn, okay. So when the interest rate of, or sorry, so when the rate of interest charged to the loan and earned by the sinking fund are the same, the amount of payment computed using the amortization and sinking fund methods are exactly same. However, there is no guarantee that the rate earned in the sinking fund, okay, say J, is the same as the periodic interest rate on the loan, that is I. And we know that most of the time the interest rate the borrower has to make is lower than the interest rate he usually pay. So, I is basically greater than J. In this situation, we now consider the case where the sinking fund earns a rate of interest different from that charged to the loan. So, specifically, suppose the sinking fund earn interest rate of JP J per payment period for a loan amount A angle N net I to accumulate to the principal in the sinking fund over n period. The periodic installment is A angle N net I divided by S angle N net J. Okay. Hence, the total installment therefore will become I time A angle N net I plus A angle N at I divided by S angle N at J. Or you can rewrite this upon solving. You can simply take this term out. We will have A angle N at I time I plus 1 upon S angle N at J. This is the rate of interest. This is the rate of interest you earned from your sinking fund, but this is the rate of interest you are going to pay for the loan, okay. This can also be written as L being the initial loan, so this will be equal to this, okay. Then we can rewrite that the total installment therefore will become L time I plus 1 upon S angle N at J, okay. So, only thing we need to remember is that when the rate of interest are same, then the loan amortization method and the sinking fund methods are quite similar. However, if the rate of interest are different, then they may be different. I believe you have now understood the loan repayment method, where we have understood the loan amortization schedule and the sinking fund method. Thank you. We will be meeting in the next week to understand the bond and bond valuation techniques. See you in next week.